Hello everybody, it's Chris again, and I am here to do another video. In this case, I'm not going to call this a modification. Basically, I'm going to be changing out the stock oil breather for the Mountune oil breather, which has almost 100% more surface area on the inside baffles. So that way when you get that oil that dusts off of your crankshaft into your block builds up that pressure, that oil gets forced into here to go and route itself upward into your PCV unit, which eventually ends up in your intake. And from a lot of the reading I've been doing on the forums, especially the European forums, we're seeing cars now with 3,000-4,000 miles on them, or kilometers on them, that the owners having to put a half to a full quart of oil in their vehicle between oil changes. And this is just kind of a bad design. It's we want performance, but we don't want to change everything to match the performance. So, do the little that you can to get by. So I'm doing this because this is especially important for me with my boost pressure being increased, and should be especially important for anybody with a stock Focus RS, a stock Focus ST, a Fiesta ST, anything. I mean, this should really be. We'll have some comparisons to check after this is installed. We'll compare this with the old one, take a look inside the intake, see if there's any oil or any kind of lubricant that is in there sitting right now that's getting ready to go into the combustion chambers. And so let's get started. So as always, we're going to start with pulling the cover off of the motor. Taking that and setting it aside. And now we can get to work by starting to disconnect some of these tubes and whatnot around the intake here. What do is release some of these connections here that are in front of the intake and disconnect them. Now on this one, it's underneath, it's hard to see. Let me pull you in a little closer. So this tube up top goes underneath and has a tab system where you need to release the tabs. By doing that, you slide the tabs outward. So you basically go in there with your finger, lift up on each side of the tab and slide it down and pull it off. And don't drop it when you pull it out, but this is what it looks like. Now that we've pulled the white clip off of the PCV hose here, we're going to depress the top of the white tab and slide the hose out, bringing it out like this. Take that and bring it up here and tuck it out of the way. Okay, once this is disconnected, then we're going to want to take the connector right on the front of the intake manifold here. This is a push back here and pull connector to disconnect. So you push down on the black plastic tab, pulls right out like that. We're going to go ahead and take this and tuck it back here so it's out of the way for right now, right behind the engine loop. Now in the intake manifold, we do have some connections that don't pertain to it, but are connected to the intake manifold per sliders. And basically it's just held on there by a slider. To get those off, just gonna basically pinch and pull out, and you should be able to slide the whole connection through. And now that we've gotten all of the PCV lines off of it, we're gonna go ahead and take the bolts out of the intake manifold. 10mm sockets are located here, here, one in the center, one off to the side here, and then on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side of the car, if you're in it, take the extension off and remove that one with just a deep well 10mm. Alright, now that I've gotten the bolt off and loosened the intake manifold, I pulled it back and pulled it out of the throttle body coupling. Now I'm going to disconnect the intake manifold sensor by pushing down on a clip and pull. It's your basic pressure pull switch. And then I'll look down here and see that we have another PCV hose that's connected down here holding it on. Now if you can see in here, right underneath the intake ports, is another PCV connection where we're just going to squeeze at the rib section on the top and the bottom and disconnect it like that. It's a pretty tight squeeze, so the disconnection is just right there. And then we're going to go down and come to the right side of the throttle body, and we have a connection at the very bottom of it. Now this type of connection is one where you pull out and then depress and pull the connector out itself. I'll demonstrate that once I have this out of the way so you guys can be able to see it. Now if you can see, this is the connection I'm talking about. What you basically have to do is pull this red part backward and then depress on this black part and pull it right out. Now after we remove the intake, we do want to take a precaution by using some painter's tape here to cover up the ports so no debris, especially while we're working outside here, can get into the actual manifold. Now before removing this PCV hose that's connected directly to the oil baffle, we're going to go ahead and take the oil baffle off with it connected because the Mountune does connect in a different way than it does on stock. So we're going to start out by needing an 8mm socket to pull the bolts off. There are, I believe, 8 in total. So now that I've got all the bolts out of the other unit still in the car, I just wanted to let you know that I do have the updated Mountune breather plate. Again, I have no affiliation with Mountune. They just seem to make really good parts, and if buying good parts, I mean, I don't know if they like that I put them in my vlog. They should, because I really have appreciation for their parts and their quality. So let's go ahead and take a look at the old one compared to the new one. So now that I've unpackaged the Mountune units, let's take a look at these. This is the stock unit. From the front, not really a big difference. When I flip the stock unit, however, it's coated in oil, and look, one baffle that is covered in oil. This is disgusting. Yeah, this thing is not doing its job. When I flip the Mountune one, two baffles and an interior for the oil to travel through. This is going to make it way harder for that oil to get up into my intake and cause intake, valve issues with oil in my valves and burning oil. This is definitely the solution, or part of the solution. I mean, people talk about catch cans. This is the root of the issue. This is before the catch can. This is coming out of the motor, going into the PCV system. So if we can solve it here, then we don't even need a catch can on the car. I'm not saying that don't put one on. I'm sure that they would work great in tandem with each other. But as far as this goes, I mean, that's just ridiculous, the difference in how much oil this thing's carrying and this. In fact, I'm so surprised at this difference. I'm going to bring you guys with me real quick here. And we're going to go ahead and take a look inside of there. Look at that. Look at all of that raw oil inside of the baffle that should be drained down into those two oval holes. Now from the old piece, you're only going to be saving 3 pieces, possibly 2 depending on if you were proactive. Obviously this hose has a rubber grommet on this end. Make sure that's kind of lubricated up a little bit. That's going to fit inside of here. And then also you're going to want to make sure that you take very special care with removing the seal that goes around this to transfer over to the Mountune unit. Alright, now we've got the Mountune installed, and if you guys don't believe in it actually helping oil not get into your cylinder head, then you don't have to, but I think the aesthetics on it is worth it enough. Plus that clears up about 1.5 inches worth of working room behind the air intake. Alright everybody, we got everything put back together. Sensors connected. All the PCV hose routing reconnected with the new PCV hose route to the Mountune oil baffle. Now that's all we got to do is torque up the intake manifold here, put the engine cover on, and we're ready to roll. Alright guys, snapping the engine cover back on here. And while I do that, I'll just let you guys basically know what you've seen today, what things look like with the stock oil baffle and how much oil is actually getting in your vehicle. And you know, leave it up to you whether or not you want to pursue doing that, not only as a mod, but like I said, it's just a form to protect your valves for the future. So hope you guys like the video, hope you guys are more informed on everything. If you could, give me a subscribe, leave some comments. I'd like to actually open the discussion on whether this is needed or not. Are you guys losing oil between oil changes, or are you not? Let me know and give me a thumbs up. Thank you guys.